Good evening and welcome to Dog Talk. I'm Dan Camilleri.
I'm Laura McKillop. We'd like to start by thanking Enduro for their ongoing support in bringing you our fortnightly Q&A. Tonight, we're fortunate enough to be speaking with Jeremy Grills from Eaglehawk Angus and Working Dogs.
G'day, Jeremy. How you going, mate?
G'day. Yeah, good. How are you going?
Good, thanks. Mate, just before we kick off, also like to thank Keggers Livestock Services for your support in being a minor sponsor as well. And actually, just want to thank both Jeremy and Laura for working around me yesterday. I had a big day, and these guys both there was no hesitation in asking if we could delay it a day. So thanks, guys, for accommodating me as well.
No worries.
Mate, so what did you get up to today, mate?
Yeah, we were assessing some heifers for Auctions Plus. We got sort of 400 on next Friday. So they're in a lot of different lots with the studs. So it's a pretty big day. By the time you sort of film lots of 20 and 30. But yeah, no, it's a good day, that's for sure.
And that assessing, mate, like what how do you determine what you're going to send and what you're going to keep, and what's involved there?
So there's a lot of commercial heifers in them as well, that are sort of either bought or bred as commercials, and the commercials, they'll either stay in the stud if we need like recip cows. If we need extra recip cows, but we're pretty good for recip cows at the moment. So yeah, we've got sort of surplus of heifers, and then we always sell some stud heifers each year to keep some clients happy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, what's day to day look like for you guys?
Yeah, it's a bit of everything. Sort of working dogs every day. There's always something to do. You take sort of a few dogs with you every day, but there's tractor work. It's just been on the farm, I suppose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
and you're right. You go, Laura.
I was just going to say, how did you end up where you are now? Like, do you want to give us a bit of background about yourself?
So I was actually we're over at Kings Plains now. I married Annie, my wife, and I work for her in-laws now. They own Eaglehawk Angus, and I actually started. I used to live at Guyra, at the eastern side of Guyra, growing up sort of out there, and then I moved to Inverell when I was in about year 4, I think, and then I've just been over here since, and then I went up north for 3 years. I contract mastered for 2 years with Shane Templeton, and then a year at Gregory Downs, and then come back down here. Went over to Guyra there, to Rockvale Farms, and spent sort of 5 years there. 2 years as a station hand, and then I did 2 years contracting, and then 2 years managing a place for Rockvale, actually. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you've always been on the property, mate?
Yeah, I sort of always wanted to do it. Dad and me pop and everyone sort of always done it, and I've always loved it, that's for sure. But here I am.
Ever think of doing something else, or was just never on the cards?
It definitely was. I don't know. When I left school, Dad sort of wanted me to get a trade, but I dabbled with a bit of welding for a while, like a boilie. But then, as soon as I went north, there's sort of no looking back from there. Yeah, there was just always cows or sheep.
Yeah. And where did your wife fit into? Where did you meet her, sort of thing, in that time?
So I was up north for 3 years, and I was actually going back up to run a camp for Pat Barrett, and I met Annie on my time home from my 3rd year, and she kept me here. And then I was with Annie for about 5 years, and then we got married 2 years ago.
Lovely.
Best
Yeah,
decision of your life, mate.
yeah, she'll tell you that.
So, where did your passion for dogs all fall into that, mate? Dogs have always been in the scene, or is that something that came in when you got a bit more involved, or?
No, I've always loved them. It's yeah, I remember as a young fella, Dad used to go mustering, and I used to actually run beside the quad. Like I thought I was a dog, and like I didn't ride a bike or anything, and then I'd sit on the back with the dogs, and the dogs would even cast out on mob of cows or something, and I would actually get out there and think I was a dog trying to shift a mob of cows or something, and then when I went up north, like I don't know, I never had working dogs until I started at Rockvale. I always had a few pig dogs, and had a few dogs that would catch a few bulls and things like that up north. But yeah, never had working dogs until I started at Rockvale. Yeah.
You remember your first dog, mate?
Yeah, I do. They were just bitches. The first dog would have. Oh, actually, my first dog was a blue dog. I got off Danny McCormack. Her name was Blue, and she was a blue cattle dog. But yeah, I spent a fair bit of time with her. I could send her to lead a mob of cows and everything like that. But she died just before I went up north. So, and then I went into the pig dogs and things like that for a couple of years, and then
Mm-hmm. And you've obviously done quite well in the sale ring with your dogs. Like, we're jumping ahead a bit, but with them, is it 3 or 4 years now that you've topped RMA?
it's 3. Yeah,
3 years.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, you're obviously, producing a good quality dog. What are you looking for in a dog?
I don't know. You see dogs like every dog, nearly every dog that I've got in that sale, I've bought as a young dog and like traded, I suppose you could say. But they're sort of just misfits that people don't want or something, that they're not suiting their game. And then a lot of them dogs, you just get them home, give them a chance, and like put them to work. Like I've worked out people that buy dogs, they want a dog to do a job, and they want it to do it pretty simply. Like they don't want a dog to step 2 steps to the left or sit down, and yes, they have to look pretty, and like I don't know, it's hard to explain, but they just want a dog that can cast around a mob of sheep or cows and put them through a gate and then get to the yards and maybe do a little bit of a job as well. Yeah.
No, I like how simple you worded that.
Yeah, it's pretty just to the point, right? It's cool. And there's a question here from Harry Farlow. It says, what determines if a sale dog or a keep dog for yourself?
Obviously, you do keep your better ones, but I think that the dogs that you put in a sale, you should be willing to have them here at home as well. You see a lot of dogs in the sale that you wouldn't have at home, and I think that in those sales, people are using them as just I don't know, to palm them dogs off, because obviously dogs do make a lot more in a sale than you could be able to sell them privately, because there only has to be, if there's 2 blokes on a dog that want it, like who knows what it could make.
Yeah.
Off the back of that, actually, Grace Buttress has asked, what's your advice for a new starter that wanted to present some dogs in a sale and create a name for themselves and make a few dollars?
I would say, like, just going back to that point, it's got to be a dog that you would keep at home, and you're only selling that dog because you have 2 or 3 at home that you can't supply the work for. Like, you can't keep them all. If I was selling my first dog, I'd make sure it's a good one, for sure. Like it takes a long time to get a good name, but you lose it overnight if you sell a bad one.
Yeah.
So that's becoming hard now. You have to put up a better dog than last year every year. If I'm going to keep going this way, yeah.
I actually really like that you put it that way. Like it has to be a dog you're willing to keep, because, like you said earlier, it can become a bit of a dumping ground. So,
it really does. You see some dogs go through themselves, and it's just the sales are getting better. I think people are working it out, because those people want to keep their sale at the top, and they're starting to sort of sieve those dogs out. You've got to send videos now when you enter your dog, and it might be only a minute or two video, but it's got to show that dog working, and then they'll either say yes or no. Yeah.
If coming from a family that had working dogs, like, you ever cop any stick from the old boy or the family, like, for putting your dogs through? Like, was there a bit of stigma there to start with?
Oh yeah, for sure. That they taught you everything, they say. My dad and my grandfather, they're pretty solid on every year. Everyone always asks them what the dog's like, and they'll probably tell they're no good. But, I bet you if I asked them if they wanted the dog, they'd take it in a heartbeat.
I love it. And coming from, like, obviously a stud like Angus Stud there, like, what do you need in a dog for yourself?
They got to be strong. I don't know. You see a lot of people talk about dogs working cows and calves. I know cows and calves are solid, and I still strive for that. But you put a dog or two out on a couple hundred bulls, or you'll work out if you've got a good dog or not. Bulls never ever stick together. They just don't herd like normal cattle do, and that's when you know you've got a good one. If you can put a young dog out on some bulls and he keeps them together and keeps them well and settled, and keeps them in a mob and walking, you know pretty soon that you've got a good one.
What do you have on them before you put them in that situation, though?
Yeah, good question.
Not much, to be honest.
Because it could go to shit pretty quick too, couldn't it?
Yeah, it definitely can. I think it's a lot about setting a dog up when you put a young dog out. But I nearly don't even have a sit, or I don't, on a lot of my young dogs, even when they go to the training pen. I'm a big believer in, if you put a sit on a dog, if things go wrong, people sit the dog rather than correcting the situation. I know it works for people, but I just never have. And I think dogs learn to sit when they need to sit. Like, you come to a gateway and you see a good young dog, and he'll see the pressure needs to be released, and you'll look back eventually and they'll be sitting, and I love that.
It's funny you say that. I was actually, I think I'm up on our socials the other day, and it's mentioning exactly what you said there. Like, so many people are trying to bury their dogs in the dirt rather than get them to fix a problem, and then they just learn to, watch things happen rather than try and rectify them quickly as well. So I don't think anyone has really said that too much on this before in the last couple of years, have they, Laura? Everyone likes a bit more control.
Yes and no. I think you've just taken what Jeremy said in a different way to probably what I understood it. So, yeah. Probably.
And that's the beauty of it. Actually, I'm just looking through a stack of questions have just come through all at once here, Jeremy. But you just touched base on something there. And James Lehan has asked, what do you think a good dog is worth in your team? What do you think a good dog in your team is worth a day? Sorry.
Well, I don't know. Every bloke thinks he's worth so much. I don't know. What do you pay a bloke a day now? they're sort of up around 40 or 50 bucks an hour for someone handy with a few dogs. If you can, if you could go dose a mob of sheep or muster a tough paddock on your own, like it could take an extra 2 blokes and say they're on $400 or $500 a day. You're nearly looking at sort of $500 to $1,000 a day for a good dog, you know, like especially in the yards dosing sheep. I reckon those dogs are very undervalued. I went in there's that Cobber Challenge that they put the tracker on, and I actually sent those guys a message after that and said, because my dog didn't do the most kilometres, but it did the most hours by a long way, and I just sent them a message and said, I think a dog in the yards is working, it's working 10 times harder than a dog in the paddock that might be just coaching sheep out of a hill, you know.
No, it's definitely a fair point. I probably never thought of it like that, but that dog in the yard, they're on the whole time. They are out of the paddock too, but the strenuous work of it. Keep up all day like that.
I think it is getting better in the way of cockies, like seeing the worth of a good dog, for sure. But they probably don't see the full of them yet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
While we're on that, William Godson has asked, has your idea of the ideal dog changed from when you first started?
Yeah, it definitely has. When I first started, obviously coming home from up north, I was collies. I was full collies. Didn't go much on the Kelpie, to be honest, much to my grandfather's disgust. But I used to love a dog that would really bite, like really, really strong, nearly too strong, like nearly stir cattle up. And they're the dogs that you'd have to put a sit on. But I've changed now that, I love a dog that bites still, but in control and when he has to. Yeah, like he has to bite when he has to, but yeah, they've only when they have to. Yeah.
What was it about that bite then that you loved so much?
I don't know, Laura. Just a young fella, I think.
The look of it, sort of.
Making things happen.
It makes things happen, you know. And you'd see a dog sort of swing off the nose, and you'd go, "Oh yes, look at that." And you see a lot of young fellas now, and I look at it and I go, "That was me." And then you try to tell them, and I reckon give them another 5 or 6 years, and they'll work it out. Their dogs, the cattle be calmer, everything. Just everything works better.
Yeah. Well, off the back of that, like what the importance of low stress dog handling and pressure and relief, like obviously that's where we're going with that, like answer to that. Like how important is that to you for your stock?
Oh, it's massive. Like especially at the stud, we're selling a product. I don't know, if the neighbour's driving past and sees you mush a mob of cattle and they're running down the fence, word gets around pretty quick. Like the cattle here, they're nearly too quiet. You nearly need a bit of back end bite. But yeah, I don't like back end bite. But it's just, we're selling a product is the biggest thing. So the biggest thing people look for now is quiet cattle.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What is it about that back end bite that you don't like? Because obviously some people do like it.
It definitely has a purpose, but I get, we don't have a lot of rough country here. We've got a few tougher paddocks, but I know if you're trying to drive cattle across a creek or anything, but I just think if you can steer cattle well into a creek and steer them right and have them going forward, they'll go across it. You don't need that back end push. I'm not 100% against it, but going back to the start again, back end dogs make cattle kick, and if you're in the yard with the bulls or something, and someone walks past them on sale day in the pens, and that bull just kicks out because something's behind it. It could take a pretty good bull down.
Absolutely. I suppose that could start to have a bit of a question on the actual temperament of that bull rather than something that's been trained to do, right?
Yeah, for sure. I reckon to a point it stirs it up. As I said, it's definitely got a purpose, but you see a lot of people that have back end dogs, but they'll get to the lead and they actually cut short. I reckon they don't get to the head and hit. I don't mind a dog that'll go to the head and then hit the head, and then if it's got to drive something in, it'll bite the back end. But you see a lot of dogs, they don't even get to the head. They'll just cut in. They'll shoulder that beast, and they usually make trouble more than anything.
Already looking for the fight.
What's that, sorry?
They're already looking for the fight.
Yeah, that's right. They're trying to drive it out and sort of half cut something out more than bring it back to you.
And while we're talking about dogs on cattle, question here from Cody Martin. He's asked, do you think barking dogs can stir cattle up or desensitize them?
Yes and no. I definitely don't want a dog run around yapping. Cows and calves especially, you probably don't want much bark because it could turn your lead around very quick. But on dry cattle, I think bark can, like dry bro cattle, bark can be very effective. Like if you're moving cattle every 2 or 3 days and you had a dog that didn't bark, I don't think you would be able to move them cattle without going and helping your dog, especially if you didn't have a back end dog. But yeah, it sort of has to be on command. I do have dogs that bark a little bit, but they don't just run around yapping.
Yeah.
And you're using the same team on cattle that you are on sheep, or are you rotating your team a bit? What's your setup there?
They all work. They work everything. The younger dogs, you might have to put a muzzle on them in the yards until you get that bite out of them a bit. Like if they're pushing a fence, they might throw a bit of a bite in there. But once you've got them pretty broke, they'll go around clean, and they might bite the odd sheep on the nose if it pulls them on, but they're usually pretty clean, yeah.
Tell us a bit about your current team, mate. Who have you got there now?
I've got Twisty. He's probably been. So when I went from college to Kelpies, it took me a long time to find a good, strong Kelpie that still had that good big punch in it. Anyway, I bought this dog called Twisty as a young dog, sort of 12 months old, and I bought him to trade him, but he hasn't been anywhere. He's about 5 now. And yeah, he's just a good, solid, honest dog. He'll back sheep. He bites a cow. Send him a long way. Just never lets you down, sort of thing. And nearly everything that I've got here, not everything, but most dogs that I've got here are by him. If not by something, by him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, Lauren.
It's all right.
I was going to ask what else is in your team there that you rely on a bit.
So I've got young dog Taco.
Taco, was it?
Taco, yeah.
Yeah.
He's out of Annie's old bitch T-Jazz. T-Jazz has been pretty good for me as well. So Annie's got an old bitch T-Jazz. She lives around the house now. She's just a pet, but she's bred some really, really good pups. There's a few blokes out there who've got some really good pups out of T-Jazz. And then I've got a collie Jeep. She's by Twisty out of a bitch of Dad's called Elle. Elle's passed on now, but she's a really, really good little honest bitch too, and she's the only dog of mine that will bite the back end. But yeah, it's nothing flash by any means. But yeah, like you wouldn't take her to trial or anything, but just gets the job done here for me every day.
Are there any lines you're sort of following or finding keep popping up in the dogs you're liking?
I've tried a few Capri dogs. I've got a little Capri bitch here. She's probably 16 months old now. Might be a little bit older. She's probably closer to 2, but she's really, and she probably will be really good for me. I won't sell her on. She will put probably a bit more footwork in my dogs. She's very pretty. She's not overly strong, but she holds her ground, and yeah, she'll be good. I'll breed her in the next year or two, and yeah, she'll be great for me. But other than that, I've actually ordered another pup off Chris, and other than that, I don't really chase lines. If I see a dog that I like, yeah, I might try something like that. And if it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work. If it does, it does. Yeah.
Off that, Grace Buttress has asked, what is the most rewarding thing you get from working dogs?
I don't know. It's great to see a young dog that you've bred and trained and just done a little bit with him. And then you see him at sort of 12 months old and you're out there doing a job with him. It doesn't get much more rewarding than that, I don't think.
That's pretty cool. That's cool. And do you breed many of your own dogs?
Not really. I do breed a few litters, but it's mainly just if I need a pup. I love to have pups coming along. Look, dogs are one of my hobbies, so I always love to have a couple of pups about, and of an afternoon, if you finish up a bit early, I'll be out there mucking around a few sheep and a few pups, and a heap of mates will come over, like sort of 2 or 3 blokes that work around here. They'll come over, we have a few beers and just work pups, and yeah, it's a good little social event actually.
So off the back of that again, Pat Watson's asked, what do you look for in a pup out of a homebred litter from the time they've been weaned to about 12 weeks old?
I love them pups that come out and like jumping on you, that real forward pup. Like, I love that. They're the ones I always pick. I don't know. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I'd love to know the formula to pick a pup, because there's plenty that don't work and there's a few that do. But I love that pup that comes out and is on you and wants to be with you and leaves the other pups behind. Like, it doesn't want to be doing the puppy stuff. Like, it would rather be with you rather than the other dogs. And then if you put them down and they work, it's just a bonus.
Yeah. Actually, you mentioned there about pups that work for you and pups that you don't. And Terry's asked, have you ever had a pup or a dog that you've put through an auction that you thought would go well and it hasn't sold? And any idea of why you think that might be the particular case?
So I haven't put a dog through that hasn't sold. I have been worried about a couple of dogs, just how they would go to their new home, but it all turned out fine. The bitch I sold last year, Flo, she was very, I don't know, I suppose you call it one man, but like Annie, if I was about, Annie wouldn't be able to call her over. And I reckon that's a big thing selling dogs too. We might have a couple of young fellas working here, and it's massive if they could go get that dog out of the cage and go move a mob of cattle. It just, you know that they're going to go straight to that home and work for that person. I was a touch worried about Flo. I knew she'd come around, but Hume that bought her and Jenny, yeah, they love her and pretty impressed with her, I think. But I knew that, like, she loves working, but I knew she would go around, like, they're all goats. I knew she would go around the stock, but I just wasn't sure how they would get along with her around the kennel and, like, yeah, calling her back and things like that.
And out of curiosity, you don't have to answer it, but did she take to that straight away, or did they have a little bit of drama with that handover period? Like, how long did it take before she was sort of Righto. I know I'm yours now.
So Hume and Jenny, they were really, really good. They actually gave her about 4 weeks before they even worked her. The go job's a bit slow at the moment, but they were great. I spoke to Hume after the sale a few times, and he said, "Listen, mate, I'm not getting her home to drive her in and get a heap of goats in." He said, "I want to bond with her." You don't get that very often selling a dog. Like, our mate gets home and he takes it out that afternoon and expects it to go around 3,000 sheep. And most of them would, but it's probably more like the call off or something. Their calls are going to be somewhat different, and it doesn't, like if they say come here, it's not bang and it comes here. And that's what probably disappoints people the most. But after a couple of weeks, they're all good, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had any, like I speak for myself here, like where I've sold dogs through auctions and then I've tried to get in contact afterwards to see how they're going. Have you ever had any issues there, like when you think about that and you think, oh shit, are they looking after it? Like, how attached do you get to some of these dogs?
Yeah, so nearly every dog I sell, when it sells, I have a bit of a tear, pretty much. It's probably a tear like I'm proud of them that they made the money and all that. But like every dog that I sell, like I said, I'm attached to everyone, and I would happily take them home or take them back if someone didn't want them. The first bitch I sold came back, and there was a few things there, but the bloke that bought her just wasn't looking after her, and got back here, and she was pretty close to dead, sort of thing. And she came back, and a good mate of mine ended up buying her off me, and happy as they. He's bred a couple of litters of pups out of her, and but yeah, 100%. After that first one, that's huge. I love to talk to people before the sale, and you sort of question them what they're going to do and make sure they've got plenty of work for the dog. And because all the dogs are young, I found in them sales as well, I reckon once they get to sort of nearly 3-year-old, people don't look at them as much. That dog I sold last year, Whip, he was a really, really good dog. Probably the best dog I sold in that sale, but I reckon they overlooked him because he was nearly 3-year-old. I don't know, people just must think that's getting on a little bit. But then you have a 2-year-old dog, it's not quite set, and all they want to do is work. But if that person can take them home and give them plenty of work, I'll give them everything, yeah.
Absolutely. It seemed to love those like really well, semi-moderately trained
dogs.
Yeah,
100%.
I love it.
That's very strange.
Absolutely. I think when we were talking to Sarah and David Lee, like they mentioned that people think it's easier to sell a dog through an auction, like from being from not really liking the dog's perspective, but it's not that hard to let them go. Like you do get attached to these guys, all right? You're with them for a fair while. It's not easy just to go, yep, cool, got some cash in the bank and it's done. Like, if you care about it and you've put the time and effort into it, you do build some kind of connection with these particular dogs.
Yeah, it's definitely not about the money. The money's great, but you're definitely attached to them, that's for sure. Yeah. And the 6 months leading up that sale, if you've got 3 dogs in the sale, you spend a lot of time with them 3 dogs.
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier that you like a dog that gets to a head. Like, how important is heading ability to yourself?
Oh, it's massive, yeah. I love it. I probably love it a bit too much. But I don't know. If they can get to the head, I reckon you can work with them. You can always bring them off balance and things like that after. But it's pretty hard to get a dog to go to the head that doesn't want to be there. I love a young dog that you can never seen a big mob of cattle before, and you be at the tail and you just drop him off the bike or the buggy, whatever it is, and I love it. He just, that one cast, you don't even tell him to go, and they just run to the head. Like, I love that. And even if it takes you half an hour to get him off the head, I just love it. That's what makes me tick.
Actually, a question that's probably really, really fit for yourself, having so much success, is like how, like especially those particularly heading dogs, but how important is trainability and biddability to you? Sometimes like those heading dogs can be a little bit hard-headed at times, but if we're putting those dogs into sales, like I'd really like to hear your input on that.
So yeah, I love a strong-minded dog, and I suppose that's why I love a real heading dog. I love a dog that you can get up a dog and or just like you pull his ear a little bit, but he'll still want to be with you. Like he doesn't, like he'll admit that he was wrong. I really can't stand dogs that they'll like you. The biggest thing is Stuart Williamson taught me this. He said, how do you put it? Don't try and teach. Don't get up a dog for something that you haven't taught it. Like don't expect it to do it. And like he was talking about collars and things. Like people put a collar on a dog to make it come to them, but they've never actually taught it to come to them.
Yep.
And that's that massive in me. And yeah, like if you've taught a dog to come off the head and balance, like yeah, it's all good. But if it's the first time you're asking that dog to do it, he's not going to do it perfectly. He's going to keep trying to go to the head. So it's probably just a bit of patience, really. And yeah, it's once they get it, like it goes back to two. I reckon when you teach a dog a sit, you see a lot of people sit a pup and then they quit it, and then that pup doesn't want to sit because he thinks, well, I'm gonna be quit. Like that dog's so keen to work, and then he doesn't want to work after he's sat because, well, you're going to put me back in the cage. Like I try not to quit a dog on a sit if I've just taught him, and that's the same as like if you're getting a dog to drive or something. I always give him the head first, and then I'll call him back to the bike and put him on the bike, and then they sort of want to come back to you. Yeah.
What age, or is there, like, you sort of answered it, but is there anything you sort of must have on a dog before you put that sit on, like, or an age thing? I
know what you mean, Laura. There's dogs that you put a sit on. There's dogs that not. Like there's dogs that upset stock, I think, and there's dogs that don't. And those dogs that, like Taco, he's 3 now. I don't think I put a sit on to him till he's 2-year-old because he didn't upset his stock. He just didn't need a sit. He'd naturally sit, but I'd whistle him to sit and he wouldn't sit. He'd stand. Mm-hmm. And just one day he's like, all right, he wants me to sit now, and I can send him now and sit, and he'll flick dust. But I don't know. There's dogs that need to sit and there's dogs that don't. But I would rather teach a dog to work a mob of cattle properly rather than make them sit, because like I'll get out the front of a mob of cattle and just let a young dog work. I love working dry cattle and walking on a long distance, because you can really knock some young dogs up. You just sit in front of them cattle and just let them work each side as hard as they want. They eventually knock up, and good big mobs of cattle are good for that. And I think if you put a sit on a dog too early, they end up pulling up short on their points. If you're out in front of them, they'll end up coming around, and rather than getting all the way to that point gets further and further away. Whereas if you don't have a sit on it, they always tuck harder, and you can always tell a dog to get out, yeah.
So is a sit and a stop different to you, or the same thing?
No, it's just pretty much all the same thing. I probably tell people I've got a steady on my dog, but it's when they want to be steady.
No, I just wasn't sure, because you said like that dog would stand and not sit. So you want your dog to sit properly.
Yeah, I get. A lot of people. Some people. I don't know if you know Jeff Ritchie. He's a pretty good dog man. He'd be a good bloke to get on this. He said that some dogs' natural stop is up, and some dogs are down. And he said some dogs just like being up and stopped. but you can make them sit down, but they don't want to be down. Just they feel more comfortable being up than on the ground. Yeah.
But you want them to sit.
Yeah, I do. I don't know. I do like it, but it's not a must as a young dog.
Yeah.
But there's definitely dogs that are easier to put a sit on.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many dogs that I get out and get on a lead and put a sit on. I'll do it at gateway.
I know some people that don't like their dogs actually hitting the deck or putting their bottom on the deck as well, because then they think that when those dogs get up to move again, they take off a lot too hard sometimes as well. Whether those dogs that stop at a stand seem to leave a bit softer.
Yeah, that could be. That's a fair point. Yeah, they could even spook cattle if they're jumping up off the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. See, we've mentioned a bit about pups earlier. Like, do you breed many pups for yourself?
Oh, not really, mate. Like, it's just, as I said before, it's just if I need a pup, I'll breed a litter. And that's about it.
Yeah, actually, somebody asked earlier. There's a question here. Actually, Kyle Willis asked what age you put a sit on your pups. We already asked that. I'm sure someone asked earlier. Sorry, I can't remember who it was. Like, will you be putting any pup that you bred yourself through any auctions this year?
I won't have any of my own this year. Not this year, I won't. No.
Yep.
Well, sold a couple. Lucy, the first one I sold. Annie bred her. And then last year I sold a yellow dog. And he probably didn't sell as well because he was a yellow dog, but it's just a bit of a thing out there with the yellow dogs. But yeah, I definitely don't mind them.
I can relate to that, mate. I had one of those myself. That was pretty handy. Mate, what advice would you give to someone wanting to purchase their first dog or their pup?
A pup or a dog
or either?
Just their first.
Yeah, I don't know. It's what you like and what you need, I suppose. I don't know. If it was your first ever pup, I'd probably go and look at what you need. Say you got a job, go and look what you need. I love bringing young fellas here and going out and moving mob of cattle with them without a dog, because it teaches those young fellas, because otherwise they get really lazy because your dogs are doing everything. And you're sort of like, well, got you out here to give you a bit of a go, but they don't do anything. We had a backpacker here for 3 weeks, and I took him out a few times to mush a few mobs of cattle, and I just didn't take a dog. And I reckon in those 3 weeks, he learnt a lot more than anyone that would have had it if they had a dog, because he actually learnt how to work cattle first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you see a lot of young fellas these days, they've got a dog, and as soon as you've got your dog off, they send their dog as well. And I really don't like that. I think if someone's got their dogs off, they work their dogs. If that young fella's got his dogs off, I wouldn't put my dogs off. It's just, you've got the cattle, you do that, I'll go sit up on the point or something.
Yeah.
The boss is asked here, mate. And question here from Annie Grills. Mate, you have a few yellow kelpies. Do you believe they attract stock and struggle to move them more so than a darker or black dog?
I don't think
you
so.
skipped over something that you should have been telling us, obviously.
I definitely don't think so. I know there's a massive thing around it. People say yellow dogs attract stock and this and that, but Twisty and Taco, they're both yellow. They'd move anything if you asked them to. They both get out and they cast out pretty nice, good break, and then come in straight on their stock. And if they've got to bite one, they're usually not that broken or something. Like stock walk off them pretty solidly. That's bulls and everything. I actually think the bulls have nightmares about yellow dogs here. But, But
The
yeah,
condition-
my grandfather hates yellow dogs. He would never admit that Twisty's a good dog just because he's yellow. But yeah, there's a massive thing around yellow dogs, but I don't know. I've never seen it. Yeah.
Do you reckon that those lighter coloured dogs have more of a calming influence? So they do get a few moments extra. Like if you put them around your stock, they just seem to get that couple of seconds extra, where a black dog doesn't seem to get those couple of seconds.
Yeah, one thing I have noticed is a lot of people say like a yellow dog because they think it's a dingo, and I get that they probably do when dingoes are bad, but I reckon a cow will come out at a straight black dog and chase it harder, thinking that it's their calf. Like you watch some calves, they're not actually chasing that black dog; they're actually chasing it like they're just running past the yellow dogs, and it's like they're chasing that black dog, thinking that it's their calf, like on black cattle. And I've noticed that a lot. When I was in college, I had some straight black ones, and I reckon those black ones got chased a lot harder than the yellow dogs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
and it was, like you see a cow come out and chase its calf, like trying to, and the calf's running mad, and they're chasing the calf. I reckon, yeah, I've seen that a few times, and I don't know, I could be wrong, but yeah.
No, it's an interesting thought.
Mm.
I can't say I've ever seen it, but yeah, it's something to think of. Yeah.
I've had a few crossbred dogs and that with them, and they were sort of white, and they would never ever get chased like them black bitches that I had, and they were my main dogs, and they would just get chased. But I don't think the cow was actually chasing them. I reckon it actually might have. There was a slight moment there they thought it was their calf. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you answered it or not, but why did you swap from collies to kelpies?
He sort of light, Laura. He sort of light. Joking.
I'm seeing the light the other way. So there.
I'm gonna move back.
I definitely probably did see the light. Going into this sale, I think Kelpies are a lot more versatile. And I know there's some good collies out there do everything, but not many of them. And I don't know, Kelpies just want to do it, and they'll do anything, whether it comes from sheep lines, cattle lines, or anything. If you get a good one, it doesn't take it much to back sheep. Like it could be 2-year-old and working cows all its life, then you ask it to back sheep and it flies over it like it's been doing since it was 6 months old.
Yeah.
And they just seem to sell better in themselves. Last year, Adam Pollock sold a collie dog and he made really good money, but before that, the collies were a good long way behind any Kelpie dog in that sale. And I'm not sure if they were because they were collies, but I just think that the Kelpies are probably more all-rounders.
And like you mentioned earlier, like it's about picking the right dog for the job too, right? Like, and the colour shouldn't really matter as long as it's the right dog for that particular job.
Yeah,
and task
100%.
you got on the property.
Yeah, I'm not biased. I'm not against collies, but like I've got a collie Kelpie bitch, and she's one of me sort of 3 or 4 main dogs, and yeah, I'm not biased at all. I sort of went that way just because I think Kelpies are more saleable. I think, yeah.
But have you got what stock do you like to start your pups on, and have you got a particular age that you like to start your pups?
So I just got my Merino Weathers here, and we just muck around whenever like someone wants to work a dog, they'll come over and we'll have a beer and work a few pups, and if I get a spare afternoon, I'll just go out there on my own, and Annie and Thea will come up and have a bit of a watch, and we'll just muck around. But yeah, it's not really teaching them anything. If you get them run a fence and that, I don't like to muck around too much in the yards. I like a square yard. Like I love to teach a dog if it's going to dig a corner, dig one straight up rather than being around yard and make it easy for them. And then, as soon as running a fence and can hold them sheep too in the middle, get outside sort of thing, and get him outside, a couple of minutes outside, make him put him back in the yard, and catch him and put him away.
And what age are you putting him on cattle?
I don't know. It's it depends what you got about. We've got some pups out there at the moment, 2 bitches. I think they'll be 8 months old. We're meant to be weaning this week, but it's meant to be good rain here tomorrow. So I'll show them cattle. They haven't seen cattle yet, but a few weaners in the yards. I'll get them a bit broken, and then just give them a few looks at cattle. Obviously, won't be outside with them, but I think cattle is a good thing for pups. I reckon they get very bored on sheep.
So,
And you're on, Laura?
no, it's all right.
I was like, do you do much training? Like, do you do a bit on the job as well? Or are you one of these guys that go, no, I'm going to wait and have my pup kind of have some manners on before I go throw in the deep end?
Nah, it's nearly all on the job. If you see me working some weaners with a pup, it'd be a bit of a show. I'd be chasing him around the cattle. I probably don't have much of a call off on it, but I'm pretty lucky. And so plenty of time with the weaners. So I can nearly let that pup wear himself down, and then he'll eventually come to you. Yeah, I'm not in a hurry to break him or anything. Yeah.
So, how long have you been on your in-laws' place now?
Just over 2 years. Annie and I got married in February 22, so I'll be about 2 weeks before that.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah.
Have you seen? Were they working their cattle with dogs before that?
Yeah, they definitely were. Ian's got some dogs. They go pretty good. Ian doesn't put much on his dogs at all, but his dogs are very natural. They do his job just fine. But if there was one bloke out there that didn't put much on his dogs and could do a job, it'd be Ian. They do his job just fine. He's pretty simple with them. It's go back and come here. But he's got some pretty handy dogs.
Has he put?
Has that had any? You're right, Laura.
I was gonna say, has he put any more on them since you've started there and seen the few extra commands, or?
Not really. He probably does muck around a bit. We might work some sheep a weekend or something. He'll come over and muck around with them. But Ian's thing isn't really dogs; it's cattle. He loves Angus cattle, so he'd probably rather go down and walk a bull around the yards or something.
Yeah.
And has his approach softened you up a bit? Like for a little less, trying to put a little less on dogs and let them work a bit more? Or has that influenced you at all?
It has, it hasn't. My old man was big on, like he too, he never had any sheep or anything to start his dogs. He used to just let them grow up and then take them to work, and they either had it or they didn't. So I probably got it for him. But then my grandfather, like my dad's dad, he really gets a dog going before he takes it to work. Like has sides on it, everything. So I don't know, to be honest. I like Baz gets a pup going unbelievable. Don't get me wrong, but I just reckon if you put too much of a handle on a pup, I think you take too much of the dog out of it.
Can totally understand that, man. You mentioned trialing there a little bit earlier. Have you done much trialing at all?
Nah, mate, I haven't. I've got nothing against it or anything, but it's just probably. I've had a couple of trials. I've had one cattle trial and a couple of sheepdog trials, but it's just not something I get to. I'd love to. I don't really like going to trials to work my dog. I love watching other people's dogs work and just seeing what they're doing. Yeah.
That was my next question. I was going to ask, what did you like about it? That's right. Is there anything you'd like to try and achieve in the trial ring, or it's just something you get to when you get to kind of thing?
Oh yeah, I'll probably go win the Australian next year, but
Yeah, beautiful.
no.
Ambition. The
Once,
ambition.
well, yeah, no, I would love to go and have it. I definitely won't compete with them fellas, but as I said before, my dogs probably don't have enough footwork. But yeah, I would love to get in the car with a couple of mates and go to the old trial. But we're just a bit time poor at the moment.
Actually, mate, I actually love hearing the fact that like a bloke that doesn't do a lot of trolling, but you like to go just to see other people's dogs. Can you go a bit further into that for me? Because like, how often do we hear, oh, they're only trial dogs, they're not going to make do a real day's work? Like,
Oh, you definitely hear it. I think there's definitely some dogs that are trial dogs, but anyone that's competitive in the trial ring, they probably all have more sheep and cattle than anyone. So their dogs have to do it at home too. And I reckon those people that are competitive and are going well, they're the people that don't have a 9 to 5 job in an office. I reckon you can definitely pick them dogs, but I think the better trial dogs are the ones that are going to work as well. You can see them dogs, they're really forward, and you have to more sit them down more rather than walk them up. Yeah.
a bit of dog in them still.
Yeah, that's right. You can see that dog in them still. Yeah.
You got any ambitions with your dogs for the future, the next 5 or 10 years?
I don't know. Obviously, being in the auction, I'd love to have the top price dog, but Chris Stapleton's going to take some beating. That'd be unreal. Yeah, it'd be awesome. But yeah, it's I'm a long way from Chris. That's for sure. He's got a massive name, and yeah, I would love to have the top price dog. But yeah, if it takes 10 years, that's what it is. It'd be unreal. Yeah.
Yeah. Question: why the RMA sale? Why that one? Because you don't enter dogs in many others, or if any others. Is that correct?
So our RMA is pretty close to us. We're at Kings Plains, it's only sort of 20 minutes from us here now. And when I was at Gore, it's only an hour. My grandfather used to sell a few dogs in there. I sold a dog in there actually about, it could have been 7 or 8 years ago, and he made $1,500. And it didn't hurt me or anything. I just had a young dog there, and I thought I'd give it a try. And then, then I entered Lucy in it, and she made good money. And then I thought, well, this is a pretty good thing. I might stay here, and they do support me pretty well there. And I've bought a couple of collie dogs to go to the Black All sale in May. I just don't think Kelpies up there are loved up in Queensland, sort of thing. So that's why I went the collies. I bought a couple of dogs, and yeah, I'll take them up there in May.
Actually, Dane West has asked.
There's been a few, Daniel.
Yeah.
There's just been a few questions come from YouTube that I haven't seen and you haven't seen. That's how they've just come through. Obviously, I ticked a box that I wasn't meant to tick, and there's been questions up there. That's where they've come from.
What's that? What questions are they?
The one here from Dane West.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. What do you do to get in a dog's head and buy in and get bought in, like respect so quickly?
Dane's asking that because he sent me a dog. I don't know. I suppose you've got to have that dog's respect for it to respect you. And I'm a massive believer in just taking a dog to work. I reckon that if a dog wants to work for you, it will work. But I don't know. It's a hard one. There's no really secret to it. I couldn't tell you, but you just know when you've got a dog, I reckon. There could be a dog that gives you nothing, and then one day he clicks, and then it might be something little, and I think you just work with that little thing that he gave you, and just really work on that little thing, and work on your strong points. And I can't really answer that.
That's
Sorry.
right.
Mate, if you don't know what it is, keep doing it because you're doing a good job at it anyway.
Do you find when you bring a dog home, you like to take it to work, or even if it's just on training mob? Do you find you actually get that respect a bit quicker in a different way because you're building that bond by letting them do what they want to not do what they want to do, but by putting them to work, you're giving them a job, and then you get that respect and that bond quicker?
Yeah, for sure. As every young dog wants to work, and if you take him, it'd be like taking a young kid to the park. That kid wants to go to the park, and you pretty quickly become the favourite parent, because you'll. And that's why I went back to the sit there before. Like a young dog wants to be working and going, and if you actually, I just think if you quit him on a sit, I reckon that next couple of times, probably not the next time, but maybe 2 times after that, you quit him on that sit, you actually come to, he's probably going to leave before he comes to you. And even if you're breaking young dog in, before you quit him, call him to you a few times, like getting call off on a dog, call him to you a few times, give him a pat, send him again. And I reckon that's massive. Even if they're only doing 1 lap, give him a pat, send him again. And then all of a sudden, I reckon they work out that you're giving them sheep. They're not just there. Yeah.
Mate, I 100% believe that myself. Something I use, doesn't matter what discipline of dog I'm working with. That's something I'm very big on, mate. And if you're giving them the reward, well, you're the god then, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think you're onto something there. Mate, what advice would you give to someone that wants to pursue a career in the livestock industry?
Just get out there and have a go. There's plenty of jobs out here at the moment. We've got a couple of young. We've got a father and a son team at the moment. The son's never had a job in his life, and I don't know. Don't come to a job and expect that you're going to get all the cream straight up. You've got to do your apprenticeship. It's like any job. You see a lot of young fellas these days. They bring a couple of dogs and they want to be mushing cattle every day. Big part of the agriculture industry, I reckon 70% of it is not cattle or stock work. But you see a lot of people, they don't want to go straight in a fence or something. Go and learn that, do your apprenticeship, and then the good jobs will come.
Shovel shit a little bit, right? Anyway.
Yeah, that's right. You got to start at the bottom. Everyone has.
Is there anyone you'd like to see us sit down on Dog Talk with?
I'd love to see you to sit down with Jeff Ritchie, as I said before. Or even my old grandfather. I don't think he would get on, but Jeff Ritchie would be unreal. He has a lot to talk about dogs. He's been there, done that, and he can just about get a dog to do anything. He had a fox there for a while that he was training. He had a dog that he could tell to go and jump on a bitch. He's very impressive, old Jeff. He'd be very worth getting
Beautiful.
on.
Training a fox, that'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, he had it, and I think it tried to follow him into the office in his house yard, and got caught in the fence. But he had it pretty cool there. He's a very smart man with a dog.
Very cool. Very cool. Laura, you want your question? I'm not gonna let him get away that easy.
I forgot about my question. Would you rather fight one duck the size of a horse or 20 horses the size of ducks, and why?
Yeah, I've thought about this one. I don't know. I'll probably go the 20 horses, I reckon. I don't know why. You can kick a duck, I suppose. But Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably go the 20.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
we'll take on more of a challenge, mate.
Yeah,
More active.
sure. Get a few dogs to help me.
Mate, thank you very much for your time tonight. Really appreciate it. Once again, really appreciate you being accommodating as well. To everyone listening and to all the questions, there's a few questions there we didn't get to, just because we already actually spoke about them a bit prior. But thank you for sending your questions in. Laura, thank you very much once again for accommodating me as well. And please remember, we learn every day, and the day we stop learning is a sad one for all of us.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.